Hi everyone, I'm April and you're watching the Tangled Cat Speaks, and this is a crafting edition. I have some knitting and some crochet to talk to you about this time, and I have several finished items. So let's get started. If you're new, thank you for coming. If you are a returning viewer, thank you for coming back. You are all welcome in my little space here where I talk about stuff yarn related, sometimes cross stitch, but very rarely. So let's start with the first thing. I showed you, I believe, the beginnings of this the last time. And this is a infinity scarf, a big loop that I crocheted as a rectangle and then seamed up the two ends. I didn't twist the ends. Sometimes people twist the ends. I've done that myself, but I decided not to in this case. No particular reason. So this is the corner to corner stitch. So it starts off at one corner, you increase both sides until you get the width you want, and in this case I wanted about 6.5 inches because I knew I was going to double it, and it's a pretty dense fabric. So and then you start decreasing one side and you continue increasing on the other, and that makes it go straight for a while. You're basically working on the bias at that point. And then when you get to the end, when you get to whatever length you want, you decrease both sides, and that creates your rectangle. And then I just kind of whip stitched the ends together. This yarn I showed you before, this was yarn from Breaking Yarn, and McKaylee has an experiments page on her website, and that's what these were. And these were the three purple, green, and pink. They didn't have color names, and it's fingering weight yarn. So I couldn't find a shawl pattern or anything I wanted to wear around my face that I liked using those three colors, and I only wanted to use those three colors. I didn't want to supplement because it's a different type of fingering weight than all of the other fingering weight that I have, and I know that I can mix and match. It doesn't make too much of a difference, but I really wanted, for some reason, to just use those yarns together. So I held them all three together, so that created kind of a chunky weight, and I really love how this looks. I wish my lighting was better. I apologize, it's a little late in the afternoon, so my lighting is terrible. But I like how none of the colors really stands out. Sometimes when you're holding two strands together that are very different and they do the marling effect, sometimes one color will stand out more than the other, and then it'll kind of flip-flop and the other color will stand out more, and you kind of have a little bit sometimes of a patchy look. But because there's three colors here, it didn't really give any of them a chance to really stand out. And I really love that. Plus I like how the colors kind of remind me of a peacock. So that's that. I got that done. Very pleased with it, and I can wear it just down if I want to and just open and dangly, or I can twist it up around my neck and be nice and warm and snuggly, and super happy about it. Now, I think I have about 30 grams of each yarn left, as I showed you earlier, and I am going to put those in socks, and I'm thinking I'm going to do maybe some sort of color blocking. I was looking at different patterns, and if I remember to put it, I will put up one of the patterns that I'm thinking about up here. But that's not going to be for a while. But I am on a sock knitting frenzy. Yikes. I got my mojo back. For a while I kind of hadn't been wanting to do anything, and then I started with a pair of socks that I had hibernating in my closet for about 1.5 years, and then I just went crazy. So I might actually get to those socks soon. Now the socks that I'm talking about that really brought back my knitting mojo are these ones. Now this I showed ages ago, It's been about 1.5 years, like I said, and these are all leftover yarns. This one is actually another breaking yarn. She wasn't breaking yarn back then. I think she was McKaylee's Crafts on Etsy at the time, and that's where I got this. And I had this left over from a cowl that I made. These two end ones, the green and the deep purple, are from Pandia's Jewels, and I'll have to put the name up here because I don't remember this one, but I love them. They kind of look festive, Christmassy, but kind of not. And my favorite thing about them is the way that this color pulled differently for each sock. See, so it's it makes me laugh. I love it, and I'm super excited. There wasn't a sock recipe. I do my 64 stitches top down. I did a heel flap and gusset with an eye of partridge heel, and then I did a round toe, which I got from the Sock Cocktail book that I bought 8,000 years ago off of Knit Picks, and it has a whole bunch of different sock stitch patterns, and then several different basic ways of making socks, both top down and toe up. So I did the top down round toe, and that has become my favorite way to make socks now. I love not having to Kitchener. I don't hate Kitchenering, and I can do it without thinking, but this just feels so much easier, so much faster. So that's the first pair. And then I really had been eyeballing this yarn, and I'm going to show you the pictures up here, and it's been about 3, maybe 4 years since I dyed this yarn myself. It was some Bear Stroll that I got off of Knit Picks, and I dyed it with some food coloring, like an aqua color, a purple, I think it's violet it's the Wilton's gel food coloring, and then some orange. And then this was the result. I really love how the yarn, the skein turned out, and I kept looking at it in my stash, and it was like there, prominent, and I kept wanting so bad to make something with it. So I finally pulled it out, and I made shorty socks this time because I really wanted to see this yarn also in something other than socks. So it kind of micro striped, and that's really, really cool to me. And I did the same thing, top down, heel flap and gusset with Eye of Partridge. I love looking at what Eye of Partridge does to colored yarns, because you've got this pattern, and then the Eye of Partridge just changes how the colors play. It did the same thing in this one. Like, it just changes how it looks, and I adore that. And I really love how it looks on solid colors too. But I made these also with the round toe, and I am thoroughly in love with them. And I still have 50 grams left of that skein. So this is what's left. And I don't remember the shawl that I'm planning on making, but it's a 3-color shawl. And so I'm going to use this, and I'm going to pair it with this because I have 2 of these and I really need to use them. And then I have this white. And I am super, super excited. I have a purple, but I thought it would kind of blend in a little too much. And I have actually some of this. I have about 15 grams of this dark purple, and I was thinking of using that instead of the white, but for the shawl that I wanted, the 3rd color needed more yardage, so that's why I went with the white. But I think that's going to be cool, but it's not going to be for quite a while. Hopefully this year, but we shall see. And then I went digging through my hibernating WIPS, and I pulled out another sock. This one had been languishing all by itself without its mate for almost 3.5 years. You might remember ages ago, I bought this book, In the Footsteps of Sheep by Debbie, how do you say it? Zawinski, where she goes on a foot walking kind of tour through Scotland, and she talks about all her whole journey, and along the way she'll find like fences and bushes and whatnot where the sheep had been passing, and some of their fleece would pull off and snag, and so she would go and pick up all of these little all these little pieces of fiber stuck to various places, and excuse me, spin them up and then make socks. So this is the second sock pattern. I did start the first pattern in this book, which is a color work project, but I had to frog that because I was using too small of a needle and it was way too tight on my foot. So I'm gonna have to rethink that one and do it again. The second socks, these are the ones that I'm talking about, it's called Andrew's Scottish Blackface Shepherd socks. Now I did do some modifications to this pattern, but this is what they look like. Now this is Knit Picks Wool of the Andes. This is the first pair of socks that I've ever made that does not have any, it's not superwash, and it doesn't have any nylon. So these are definitely going to have to be hand washed and laid out flat to be dried. And the funny thing is, this one is the first one that I did. And then when I did, now 3.5 years later, I did the second one. It came out significantly tighter, and I don't know if that's just because my tension has changed. Usually though, I've noticed that my tension has gotten looser, so I'm not sure that's it. I don't know if it was just stress. I don't know what it was, but it came out significantly tighter, and I have blocked them. I blocked this one super lightly. I very gently put it onto the blocker and didn't do a whole lot of fussing with it. This one I yanked and tugged and stretched and pulled, and I haven't taken them off the blockers yet, so hopefully they'll fit. Now these were going to be for me, which is why I had to modify the pattern. The ribbing, it was for a 60 stitch circumference, and I had to, for my and it only came in one size, but for my size leg and foot, I only did 54 stitches, and that meant I had to figure out how to do the ribbing, change that up. She's got a special kind of ribbing in here, and I also had to figure out how to redo the heel flap and the heel turn, and then I really had to pay attention to the other sock to see where I started the decreases on here, because it was tighter. It was also, that meant it wasn't just tighter around, it was a little bit shorter, so I had to add a few rows, and I just really wanted to make sure that the toes matched on both sides. Now these were I did the same toe as the other sock, which was the normal Kitchener toe, which is fine, and it looks really good. The cable went all the way down. Actually, I think that was one of the modifications. I think for some reason I wanted to do that. Yeah, where's the front of the sock? Does it show it? Yeah, I don't know if you can see it here, but on this sock here, the ribbing stops at the toe, and I continued the ribbing all the way down. Don't know why. And I also it started with a 1x1 rib, and then it goes into her special ribbing for the cable, because there's a cable on either side. And I decided to just not do that. I knew that was going to have to be shorter because I only had a limited amount of yarn. And I also only did 5 repeats of the cable instead of 9. But other than that, everything worked out. And I actually used pretty much, except for like a few inches of each skein, because this was 2 skeins of the wool of the Andes, and I had just a few inches of each skein left. So I'm counting it that I used 2 full skeins for this pair. And yeah, you can see this one is still just a little taller, but that's okay. They look very similar in the foot, which was my worry. And these have been what's the word I'm looking for? Kidnapped by my daughter. She saw them and she said, I want those. And I said, okay, but let me try them on your foot first, especially that tight one. And it was a little snugger. She could feel the difference. So hopefully now when she puts them on, they will fit relatively, you know, feeling relatively the same. And I did tell her that she cannot put these in the washing machine or the dryer. So, yay. And that is all of the things that I got finished. I still want to, I'm very close to finishing a cotton DK weight shrug that I was working on. If you can see right there, all that pink is the DK weight cotton. And it's basically a rectangle, and it uses 3 different sizes of needles. Starting from one end, it's the smaller needle, goes bigger to the second needle, and then bigger to the third needle, so that that part is going to be at your back, and it's a little bit wider, and then it goes back down in the other direction. And then it's got some different texture stitches along the way, so it's really fun and easy and actually quite mindless. I did have to do a little bit of fudging because the size, the pattern itself didn't have my size, but it was a very simple thing to do to adjust to the width of my back. So I'm working on that, and hopefully I will get to show you that next time. And then just recently, and I want to say it was right around the beginning of May, whenever, was it your local yarn store day, LYS day, or was it Knit in Public Day? I can't remember when either of those days fall, but just recently in Albuquerque, rather close to where I live, I would say about 20 minutes from my house, a new yarn shop opened up. And this is called Mariposa Yarns. Mariposa means butterfly in Spanish. And I hadn't been there yet. I hadn't had a chance. And my daughter and I were running around the other day, and we said, oh, we got to kill some time because her car was getting fixed, and you know, you have to wait for the car and blah, blah, blah. So we were wandering around waiting for that, and we ended up in the same area where this yarn shop is, and we decided to go in. And I was telling myself, you're not going to buy anything. You're not going to buy anything. You're not going to buy anything. You don't need any more yarn. I bought stuff. I bought a set of Chiaogu fixed needles. And I needed a size 6, a US 6, which is a 4.0 millimeter. And they had a 24-inch length, which is perfect for what I needed it for. So I have that somewhere. And then I found this, and I've never ever knit with anything by Louisa Harding. And this is the Giardino. It's kind of hard to see there. It's the Giardino base. I don't know if that'll focus. I'll put the name up here as well. And it is it's a cotton and acrylic. So it's 52% cotton, 48% acrylic, and it's a chainette ply. And it's just got all of these glorious colors. So there's kind of longish color runs. So I suppose if you were to make like I don't know, I don't think I would make socks out of this. Maybe house socks if I knew for sure I wasn't going to be putting it in shoes, but I don't know because there's no stretch to it. But if I was making like maybe some fingerless gloves or something, it would do like a kind of a self-striping kind of thing. But that's not what I wanted. Because we were waiting, I thought, well, maybe I could just use this size 6 needle that I have. And then I thought, no, wait a minute. And I started rooting around my purse and I found a crochet hook. It's a 3.5 millimeter, which would be a US letter E. From the last time I used it, it's been sitting in my purse for weeks. And it was still in there, and I'm like, I'm going to use that. So I went and I found a couple of free patterns on Ravelry, and I tried them out, didn't like how they looked, so I just decided to do my own thing, and this is what I came up with. And gosh, look at how pretty those colors are. I was wearing a pink top the other day that was similar to this color, so this will go with that. It looks like it's gonna match what I'm wearing right now. I love it. I got 2 balls of it, and it just kind of flows through these colors, not in any real particular order. It seems kind of random. Like I kept thinking at some point that once I got to a color that I'd seen before, that I would start to see a repeat, but all of the same colors keep showing up, but not in the same order. And I'm sure at some point there is, but so far I haven't found it. But this is, I was just playing in the car, well, in the parking lot with stitches, and this is what I came up with. I don't know that there's a pattern for this out there, but this is what I did, and I am really enjoying it because I wanted it to be like a summery type of thing to wear in the office. You know, it's hot outside, but it's chilly in the office, and this will be good for the back of my neck. And I'm loving it. Every time I crochet a couple of rows, I have to stop and admire how the colors are playing with each other. Totally loving it. And I was worried because when I first got these, the outside of this ball didn't look anything like the outside of this ball. And I thought, oh, I'm going to have to do some fudging to get the repeats to line up. But like I said, it seems like the colors show up at random, so I don't think it'll be a problem adding in the second ball when I need to. But yeah, I'm having super loads of fun with this. I think it'll go with a lot of things, and I can wear it all summer long, and it will just make me happy. It's like a field of flowers, which I think is what giardino means. I think it's maybe Italian for garden. Yeah, I think so. So super pretty, and I'm loving it. And this is the first time that I've knit with anything that feels like this. Super excited. And that is all I've got for you. Yeah, super short video. I've got, I'm super excited that I got a few things done, especially 2 of my really old WIPs that I can check off because I'm still participating in the 23 in 23 make along from the Passionate Spinner. So these 2 socks will work for that because this was 1.5 years old. This is 3.5 years old, and that's what that challenge is. That make along is 23 old WIPs to be finished in 2023. So super, super, super happy about that. I'm really glad that you came by to spend a little bit of time with me and see all my happy finished projects, and I hope to see you again next time. Bye.